Okay, we're back, and this is gonna be my. Hold on a second. Um, sorry. This is gonna be my UFC 110 video, my preview, if you want to call it that. I'm just gonna talk about the main bouts on the card. This is gonna be the card in Australia, and it's the one that we've all been looking forward to. Anyways, let's get started. The first fight I'm going to talk about is Krokop and Ben Rothwell, heavyweight bout. This is going to be an interesting fight. I am a huge fan of Krokop. However, you know what? His last run and his current run in the UFC, he's not necessarily set the world on fire. I don't know if it's just a. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just he's just no longer in his prime anymore, and it seems to also be a mental thing now because he just doesn't seem to have that kind of fire that he had when he was in Pride. And to be honest, I don't think he's been the same since he got knocked out by Gonzaga. Um, I don't know. I expect Ben Rothwell to probably win this fight more because I think Rothwell's probably far more hungrier and may want it a lot more. And it pains me to say it, but I would almost say that Krokop is probably done at this point. Although, if the Krokop of old comes back and the fire is lit under his ass, then maybe Krokop might just knock him out. Possibly, he could probably do that. We know that Rothwell has been stopped and KO'd in fights by world-class strikers. We know Arlovsky was able to do it, and Krokop is not a bad striker still. Just can we get that fire from him? And if he can do that and he can bring that back out, then he has a very good chance of winning. But really, I think Rothwell is the favourite to win it. The next fight after that will be Keith Jardine versus Ryan Bader. Now, a football fan said it. Keith Jardine, there's so much footage on him, you can just see the blueprint on how to beat Keith Jardine. Um, it's a shame. He's a nice person. He's a very nice guy. He always comes across very humble and very polite, and very well spoken and softly spoken in interviews. Jardine really needs to win this fight now because if he does, I think this will probably be his third loss in a row now. Yeah, it would be because he lost to Quentin Jackson and Thiago Silva, so this would be his third loss in a row against Ryan Bader, the winner of the Ultimate Fighter Season 8, if I'm correct. Yep. Um, Bader has been on a bit of a win streak in the UFC. I know he's had. He won his finale fight. He beat Moreira and he beat Schaefer. Uh, I hope. He's got the potential to knock him out. He could probably TKO him. He's a far better wrestler than Jardine. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a decision win and beats him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jardine uses his awkward style to his advantage. He could probably confuse Bader and then possibly beat him in that way. But I really think that Bader's more likely to win. Hopefully, he's been working on his striking and his stand-up to beat him. The Joe Stevenson versus George, and I'm so bad at saying his name. The guy from the Ultimate Fighter, basically. The two guys from the Ultimate Fighter, from Team Hughes and Team Sarah and Team Hughes vs Franklin. This is going to be a great fight. I know that George actually was a favourite to win the Ultimate Fighter back then, and then I can't remember. I think he lost his semi-final bout, and it was a surprise to everybody. But I tell you what, the guy's got some good skills. He's been on a bit of a roll as of late. He's won his last one, two, three, four, five fights in the UFC, I believe. And he beat Jason Dent from the Ultimate Fighter Season 9, which I was happy about because I can't stand Dent. Um, he's fighting Joe Stevenson. Joe Stevenson's had a change in camps, I believe. He's now with the Jackson camp. Obviously, he is because he's been seen with them. So it will be Brazilian Jiu Jitsu versus Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Stevenson is very talented and very dangerous. Um, I know some people, football fan again, refer to him as a poor man's BJ Penn, but not as an insult, more as a that's a good thing. Stevenson's got the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling background, and if he can transition between the two, then maybe he could probably beat him. Uh, George, I think, has probably got the advantage standing up, but I think this could probably be fight of the night. Possibly be fight of the night, depending on where it goes. If it goes on the ground and they just sit on each other, then I think people will get pissed off. But I don't think that will be, and I think it will probably be a pretty exciting fight for a lot of people. Plus, George has got the hometown advantage, which is going to be great. A lot like the next person I'm going to talk about. Bisping versus Vanderlei Silva. Now this is going to be a great fight. Vanderlei is no longer in his prime. I would say his chin is suspect. He got knocked out by Krokop, he got knocked out by Quentin Jackson, and he was knocked out by Dan Henderson. And he hasn't looked too sharp in some of his fights. Granted, he did beat Keith Jardine, and to be honest, he didn't look bad against Rich Franklin. Um, Bisping is just coming off a win off of Dennis Kang, which he looked very good at, and he looked phenomenal, to be honest with you. He just completely shut him down and looked very well. He recovered very well from the early problems Kang caused when he knocked him down. Now, I think this is what could happen. If Bisping moves around enough, kind of stick and move, hit and move around and move around and soften him up and then maybe finish him, I think Bisping could win that way. I wouldn't be surprised if he won by a decision. Vanderlei has probably got more potential to finish Bisping. Vanderlei can hit very, very hard, even though his chin is suspect. His skills are still quite dangerous. If he can get him in a clinch, which is one of the Vanderlei specialities, when he gets you in a clinch and starts kneeing you, if he can do that to Bisping, that's something Bisping has to be very, very careful of, those strikes. So it's probably why I'd say you have to stick and move. I think this is a very big fight for the two of them. I think if Bisping wins this kind of puts him up there, quite up there now, and probably puts him into a very big fight, maybe with a Nate Marquardt or somebody afterwards. For Vanderlei, it's Vanderlei trying to reinvent himself at 185, because a lot of people say that Vanderlei is far more suited to fight as a middleweight in the UFC than as 205, because they said he was barely about 205 and he was too small for that weight class. So maybe was it too little, too late? I don't know, but we should see. But this is a fight I'm looking forward to seeing. And finally, Nogueira versus Cain Velasquez. Now this fight, ooh, I've been excited for this fight for such a long time. When they announced it last year, man, I was pumped, and I'm a fan of both fighters. Nogueira, looking at his last two fights, against Frank Mir, he didn't look particularly great. He lost, obviously. People say that was the staph infection. And then he fought Couture and had a phenomenal fight. Fight of the year, probably one of the best UFC fights I've seen in quite some time. He looked amazing, just absolutely amazing. Looked recharged, looked in shape, looked energized. His boxing looked great. Versus Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez has been just on a tear. He's unbeaten right now. People go, oh, he's too small to fight as a heavyweight. But he's 235, 240, between that weight and 6'1". And he's looked very dominant. I mean, he's a phenomenal wrestler, got a lot of strength. I think Nogueira has an advantage on the stand-up. I think he's got better stand-up than Cain Velasquez. I think Cain's advantage is in the wrestling, but he has to be very careful because, as we've seen, with a lot of people, if you get someone like a Nogueira on his back, you have to be very careful because Nogueira is a jiu-jitsu wizard, and when he's on his back, he can be very, very dangerous. And I would not be surprised if Cain got him down and Nogueira puts him in something that he doesn't want to be in. He's going to have to be really, really careful when he takes him down. And even if he does manage to knock him down on the stand-up, he's going to have to do what Frank Mir did and actually wait until he's at a point where you can finish him. Because a lot of people have done this. Tim Sylvia has done this, where he's knocked him down and then ran straight into his guard and then been tapped. And the same thing with Heath Herring. So I'm expecting a great fight there, and they're saying that the winner of this may move into title contention. I'm really, really torn though for this fight and who I want to win because I'm a big Nogueira fan and I'm a big Cain Velasquez fan. I can never say his name right. Cain Velasquez fan. So probably the winner might fight the winner of the Frank Mir Carwin Brock Lesnar series thing that's going to be going on. So it's highly likely we'll see that. Anyway, guys, sorry it's a bit rushed. It's quite late. I've had a long, long day. Let me know what you think and how you think it's going to go. And yeah, I shall see you soon.